a constant reminder to us that we should never take the faith we have for granted. It could be lost. It could disappear. We must always hold our faith as a treasure in earthenware vessels that requires great care and even protection sometimes from us. And he's talking about the resurrection of the dead. The resurrection of Christians. And St. Paul is talking about a very important matter. Life after death. He's not just talking about life after death. He's talking about continuation of life after death. And that is where the Corinthians have a problem. They have a problem with the resurrection of the body. It is in their background because some of them belong to a section of the Jews that don't believe in the resurrection, the Sadducees. But also the general thinking at that particular time, in that part of the world. In our generation today, especially from the 19th century, 20th century, and the 21st century, which is ours, there is an overemphasis on the body. We can do a small little homework. How much time did you take preparing your body to come here this morning? How much of that time was before the mirror? How much time did you take to prepare your body to come here? Which is a good thing, because it reveals the dignity of the human body, which is part of the problem St. Paul is trying to correct in the reading of today. It is good to take care of our bodies because they come from God. It is good to bathe. It is good to wash. It is good to look beautiful. It is good to look handsome. Sometimes I have nieces, and they tell me things sometimes that to me appear to be a bit crazy. Because I ask my niece, where have you been? And I'm visiting home. Where have you been? You left this place around 9. You're coming back at around 4. Where have you been? She tells me I'm from the saloon. I look at her and say, really? 4 hours? Say yes. You are seated? Say yes. I ask no further questions. And I ask her, what do you do in comparison to your soul? How much time do you just give? How much do you just sit down to think about your spiritual life? If you can sit in the salon for 3 hours to prepare your head and your nails and your eyelashes and your everything, can you take a similar amount of time to sit down just to think about your spiritual life? I say, today I am not going to the salon. I am going to sit here in silence, without speaking, without eating, just to reflect on my inside. Am I still alive? Have I over-concentrated on my body? I have neglected my spirit. How long does confession take? Experts, tell us. How long does confession take? Go for confession, ordinary confession. Doesn't take more than 5 minutes, isn't it? Yes. This month, how many times have you been to the salon? This month alone, 5 minutes.
Maybe.
Do you understand me? Yes. Let us be on the same page. At the time St. Paul was saying these things, there was an exaggeration leaning towards one side, the side of the soul, as if the body is not important. In our time, we have changed completely. The pendulum is on the other side. We are overemphasizing the body a lot of time to the detriment of the soul. We need to strike the balance. Why? Because the correct teaching is the body and the soul, both of them together make me what I am. I cannot be without one of them. That is why when they separate, that is what we call death. When body and soul go apart, that is what we call death. But the correct way and the existence of the two, of being together of the two, is to be together, united. We are having the memorial of our mother. Why memorial? Because sometime last year, the soul separated from the body. Now the teaching is the body will one day be brought out of the grave. For what purpose? To rejoin the soul. Why? So that we can be complete. The soul on its own is incomplete without the body. That is why the resurrection from the dead is so important a topic. And St. Paul is emphasizing it so much today. Because not to preach the resurrection of the dead, as he says, has far-reaching consequences. We are only human, soul and body together. And that is why it is in the profession of faith. We profess. It's an article of faith. You cannot choose not to profess the resurrection of the dead and still be a Christian. No, you can't be. That's what St. Paul is telling the Corinthians. You cannot tell me you believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, then at the same time tell me you don't believe in the resurrection of the dead Christians. The two must go together, because our faith teaches us that we are only complete with the two together, and the separation is violent. Separation of the soul is violent. That's why we cry. That is why we mourn. That is why we weep when one of us dies. Because there has occurred a violent separation. And this is where Christianity announces defeat over death. It's at this particular point. Christianity, there is hope that the soul and the body will come back together. Death has been defeated in Jesus Christ. Had Jesus not defeated death, then the separation of the two would have been complete. But because Jesus has defeated death, he has defeated sin, death is not the end. The separation of the body and the soul on this world does not have the last word. There will be the resurrection of the bodies. Bodies will come from the graves. They will be glorified. Why? Because in this world, the body is important for our identification. We are identified by our bodies. Is there anybody who is identified by his soul? So that is the soul of so and so. It's passing. That is the soul of a job. You see, it's there. None of us is identified by his or her soul. We are identified by our bodies. The body is so important to the human person that to talk, not to have it, is to do an injustice to us. That is why it is good to look nice. It is appreciation of God's creation. It is good to be clean, to maintain the dignity of the body as a gift from God. But in doing so, let us take care of our spirits as well. Let us take care of our souls. The way you look after your body announces also your Christian faith. But the way you also look after your soul announces your Christian faith. The soil does not have the last word on the human body. No. Jesus has the last word. God has the last word, because he will raise our mortal bodies, as St. Paul says, and he will dress them with immortality. And then the bodies will be rejoined to their souls. And in heaven, we will have real persons, not souls, real persons. The risen body of Jesus Christ. There is a continuation. Christianity preaches and teaches us there is a continuation of life after death. Death is not the end. It is not just that there is life after death. No, there is a continuation of life after death. After this part, this section, which is the shortest of our life. Life in this world is the shortest, smallest part of our life. The next one is the longest, because it stretches into eternity. This one on earth has a beginning and has an end. The next stage, there may be a beginning because it's a continuation, but there is no end. So as you prepare yourself for the next level of being, of existence, where there is no end, which choice do you want to make? Unending joy and glory, or unending pain and suffering? Whichever choice you make, you have to make that choice and respond likewise by how you take care of your body and you take care of your soul. But we have also come to proclaim faith in our own resurrection as Christians. And may the Lord give us the courage, the fortitude, and the perseverance to take care of both our bodies and our souls.